Do not set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. On the path of Stoicism, we learn about the importance of being generous, sharing, and acting virtuously to build a strong character. Stoicism teaches us to think clearly and thrive in life regardless of circumstances. However, this does not mean we should sacrifice ourselves, often setting ourselves on fire to warm others. Being always available, overly accommodating, and seen as kind can be great for those receiving such generosity, but what about oneself? How do you fare when your generosity knows no bounds? In a world where we don't always receive what we offer, we encounter generous individuals who deplete themselves in every way. The Stoic way of thinking has reshaped my life and provided emotional resilience. Therefore, I will share 7 situations that result from excessive kindness and gentleness, and how in practice we establish boundaries in our lives based on the principles of Stoicism. And if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. It's a simple gesture, but it greatly helps us in addition to spreading this mental clarity to more people. 1. Do not set yourself on fire to warm others. Stoics have emphasized the importance of living in accordance with reason and virtue. These principles guide actions and decisions in the pursuit of a meaningful and ethical life. Establishing boundaries in our relationships is crucial to maintaining and preserving balance, avoiding compromising our authenticity and well-being for the sake of others. Sometimes, in reaching out or offering help, we unintentionally volunteer for suffering. This reminds me of a story that took place on a farm depicting the friendship between a horse and a donkey, and I'd like to share it with you. One night, the horse confided in the donkey about the hardships of its routine. I worked tirelessly, pulling the plow from dawn to dusk, facing the heat of the day, the fatigue in my legs, and the harness hurting my neck. Meanwhile, you, donkey, enjoy rest and have fewer responsibilities, even being able to relax all day when the farmer is away. The donkey was a good friend and understood the horse. "My dear friend," it replied, "you indeed have a heavy workload, and I would like to help. Here's what you can do to have a day off. In the morning, when the farmhand comes, lie down on the ground and let out the loudest groans you can, so he thinks you're sick and unable to work." The horse followed the advice, and the next day, the farmhand informed the owner that the horse was sick and couldn't be used for plowing. The farmer then ordered the donkey to take on the task. Throughout the day, the donkey, who only wanted to help its companion, was forced to do the horse's work. At night, the donkey was exhausted and injured, while the rested horse wanted to thank him. "You are a good friend. Thanks to your advice, I could rest all day." The donkey, regretful, replied, "I, on the other hand, am like many generous hearts that start by helping a friend and end up forced to take on their tasks." Have you ever felt like the donkey in your life? Share your story in the comments. It's important for us to get to know you a bit more. Just like in the story, we often want to help someone so much that we spare no effort for it. Stoicism teaches us to practice self-evaluation, meaning we should always question our immediate reactions and strive to live by reason. This process prevents impulsive actions, promoting choices aligned with our values. As Epictetus, one of the most well-known and wise Stoic philosophers, asserts in his discourses, "When you are ready to start some task, stop for a minute and reflect on the nature of the task to be performed. You will perform the task more securely if, before you begin, you tell yourself, 'I want to complete this task, and at the same time, I want to maintain my moral purpose in harmony with nature.'" Stoicism trains us for a new way of thinking, and the lesson here becomes clear. If you wish to help a friend, do so, but in a way that their burdens are not placed on your shoulders. Stoics teach us to cultivate balanced relationships where both parties contribute fairly, and neither is excessively sacrificed. In summary, the maxim, "Do not set yourself on fire to warm others," aligns well with Stoic principles of living rationally, cultivating balanced relationships, and avoiding excessive sacrifices that may compromise your integrity and well-being in all dimensions of your life. 2. Reciprocity has an expiry date. Offering our best without expecting anything in return is a genuinely noble attitude, as emphasized by Stoicism. However, often when we give, we find ourselves expecting others to reciprocate with the same level of generosity. Regardless of what you do or have done for someone, it's essential to understand that reciprocity has an expiry date. Even if the person is very grateful at the moment and tells you they will never forget the help, most people completely forget what they received over time. Sometimes we create expectations about the actions of others, carrying the certainty that someone would never act a certain way, or that we can rely on someone for everything, regardless of what happens to us. In a way, we expect recognition and reciprocity, but when these expectations are not met, problems arise and we feel devastated and betrayed. Therefore, avoiding placing our happiness in the actions of others, giving without expecting too much in return, protects us against disappointments and teaches us about emotional detachment, providing greater peace of mind. According to the Stoics, the problem begins with our expectations. By assuming that others will respond in the same way as us, we become entirely vulnerable. It is natural to expect reciprocity, but Stoicism reminds us that we do not control the actions of others, only our own actions and reactions. The wisdom of Epictetus in his discourses emphasizes this. There are two rules to keep at the ready, that there is nothing good or bad outside my own reasoned choice, and that we should not try to lead events but follow them. Epictetus's quote reinforces the idea that we have to accept events as they happen, without creating illusory expectations or trying to control them, and recognize that good and bad are related to our reasoned choice. Therefore, when being generous, be aware that reciprocity may not always come. Let's avoid creating illusions. Often, expecting reciprocity can lead to discouragement, frustration, and disillusionment. The key is to focus on what you can control, ensuring that your actions are genuinely productive, and that you don't waste your time on things we have no power to change. Stoicism teaches us that true wealth lies in our ability to give without expecting reciprocation. Finding joy in the act of giving and preserving our peace of mind, regardless of others' reactions, is a fundamental principle. Therefore, let's learn to focus on actions within our reach, cultivating a detached generosity that brings inner satisfaction, even without the guarantee of recognition or reciprocity. 3. Receivers have no limits. If we go back a few centuries, we'll see that some royalty had attendants to dress them, comb their hair, and perform basic personal hygiene tasks. This lack of boundaries seems absurd to us today. However, looking at your own life within your day, how often do people ask you for favors that they could do for themselves? People naturally expect something from us. Stoicism helps us set boundaries and provides means to make them a reality in our lives. The practice of moderation, one of the Stoic virtues, becomes a guide amid countless demands, help, and limitless requests. Stoicism advises us to balance our generosity instead of passively accepting unlimited requests and favors. By offering in a balanced manner, we maintain control over our actions, avoiding patterns that wear down our emotional well-being. When we constantly take on others' responsibilities, we not only overwhelm ourselves, but also prevent others from growing and facing their challenges. This is evident in a story of an elderly mother and her adult daughter in a small town. Despite being elderly, the mother lovingly cared for her sick daughter, preventing her from taking on her own responsibilities. Bedridden for years, the daughter depended on her mother for everything, only getting up for basic needs. As she never left her daughter alone, the mother always postponed her routine checkups and exams. Unfortunately, one day the mother fell ill suddenly and passed away. This left many people concerned about the well-being of the daughter, now without maternal care. After the mother's death, the daughter surprised everyone by resuming her normal life, showing how excessive care, despite good intentions and love involved, can hinder personal growth. This dilemma not only affects others but also ourselves. Constantly taking on others' responsibilities, neglecting your own needs, imprisons you in a cycle of unilateral giving. In this dynamic, only one person is giving, while the other is just receiving. This pattern depletes your energy and undermines your emotional well-being completely. Practicing moderation and generosity, giving in a balanced way, allows us to maintain control over our actions, avoiding habits that wear down our emotional balance. If we get used to giving constantly, those benefiting from our generosity may start to expect and desire more and more. Receivers have no limits. No matter how much you do, it will always seem insufficient. It is crucial to practice generosity, but it is also vital to establish clear limits and balance how we offer help. By preserving our peace and well-being, We encourage others to take on their own responsibilities and grow as individuals. Remember the wisdom of Emperor Marcus Aurelius when he shared in his meditations these words, "A man's duty is to stand upright, not be kept upright by others." In this delicate balance, we discover true generosity that benefits both others and ourselves. 4. Superficial connections, instead of genuine ones. Seneca, a renowned statesman, writer, and Stoic philosopher, left a significant legacy by sharing his wisdom through letters, including reflections on friendship and genuine connection in relationships. In his words, he emphasizes, "He who begins to be your friend because of the sheer utility of the friendship will also cease because of it. He will be drawn to you by some reward to be gained in return for his friendship, and he will also be repelled by the lack of such reward." Seneca highlights the importance of cultivating true bonds, devoid of external motivations. Being excessively generous can result in superficial connections, motivated by specific interests, whether financial or something we can do or offer. Often we may condition our worth based on what we can do or have to offer, not on who we are, out of fear of judgment, not wanting to displease, or feeling undeserving. Excessive generosity can often be a way to express this conditioning. To compensate, we end up expressing excessive gratitude and dedicating ourselves too much to others. Stoicism in practice emphasizes the importance of self-sufficiency and internal control, allowing you to build a solid foundation. Principles that don't align with this behavior. Our sense of worth, deservingness, and satisfaction are internal feelings that must come from within. That's why we have to work on our self-esteem and beliefs about ourselves constantly. This dynamic is not limited to friendships. It extends to all aspects of our relationships, whether professional, personal, or social. Building connections driven by interest creates a fragile foundation that certainly doesn't withstand minor changes or challenges. As Epictetus reminds us, in prosperity it's very easy to find friends. In adversity there is nothing more difficult. We should establish our relationships based on accepting who we are, including our flaws and qualities. This way, we build connections that not only allow us to grow, but first and foremost recognize and accept our true essence. Stoic principles encourage a more solid and authentic approach, where genuine connection develops from mutual understanding and respect for fundamental values. 5. Your priorities take a backseat. The primary goal of Stoicism is to live a life of virtue. To achieve this, it is necessary to constantly improve our character and learn to master our emotions, giving us direction to reach our best version. However, when we overload ourselves with others' responsibilities, we are on the opposite path. It is crucial to set boundaries in our relationships and prioritize our responsibilities to preserve balance and avoid compromising our authenticity and well-being for the sake of others. If you feel overwhelmed by others' priorities, you may be avoiding something internal that causes pain and fear. When we engage in others' responsibilities, we end up neglecting our own, leading to the neglect of our own lives. In a way, it is easier not to face our internal limits and fears and use it as a justification for the time we dedicate to others' priorities. However, the price of this incessant dedication is high. You lose yourself in the process and realize that your own life is being forgotten due to excessive concern with others' problems. Your inner voice is muffled sooner or later when facing the stillness of your own being. The pain and fear you tried to avoid return with renewed intensity. It is essential to recognize that meeting our own needs and priorities is not selfishness, but a form of self-care and authenticity preservation. The Stoics teach us that setting boundaries and living in accordance with virtues is not just an act of self-love, but also a path to an authentic and meaningful life. Seneca, one of the most prominent philosophers, spoke about this reality by saying, "Of all the days of our life, few are dedicated to ourselves." The next time you feel tempted to get lost in constant service to others, take a pause. Acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions that arise in solitude and welcome them with compassion. Allow yourself to be authentic in your desires and needs. Establish healthy boundaries, and learn to say no when necessary. You will discover that by honoring your own authenticity, you not only enrich yourself internally, but also can offer balanced and genuine generosity to others. Therefore, it is essential to learn to distribute your time and knowledge efficiently, And understand the importance of putting on your oxygen mask first so you can help others more effectively without neglecting your own needs. 6. Being seen and treated as fragile. Stoicism encourages us to develop inner strength and self-control, cultivating a healthier mind, setting boundaries, and practicing self-discipline. When you offer excessive help over time instead of being seen as authorities or collaborators, ironically, it can create the opposite impression. In this context, the lack of boundaries makes you vulnerable. People perceive this fragility, and instead of respecting you, they may begin to take advantage, using and exploiting you in various ways. They start to see you as someone always ready to help, willing to take on any task without questioning. As a result, they end up exploiting and abusing this willingness, leading to situations of exhaustion and complete frustration. However, when you start saying no firmly but respectfully, something surprising happens. People begin to perceive you differently. You stop being someone willing to accept everything without questioning and become a person who values themselves enough to set limits, deserving to be treated with dignity and consideration. This change in perception is crucial because by uttering this simple word, you transform how others see you. You overcome your mental obstacles and become a strong person capable of defending your own limits and, consequently, worthy of respect. Ultimately, respect comes not only from what you do for others but also from how you treat yourself. Seneca, one of the greatest writers and Stoic philosophers of his time, already knew this truth when he said, "What you think of yourself is much more important than what others think of you." By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you send a clear message to the world. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where your limits are being tested, remember the strength contained in that small word, no. By saying it, you are defending yourself and reaffirming your own value. 7. You'll encounter many buts. Our actions send messages to the world and the people around us. If you are willing to help unconditionally, it is natural for people to approach you only when they need something. And this happens naturally. Everyone notices your willingness, which can bring challenging consequences. Some friends who enjoyed your company before may start excluding you from parties, social events, or small celebrations, only remembering you in situations when they need help. Consideration seems to exist only when they need a favor. This pattern of behavior may seem cruel, but from a new perspective, it's not so surprising. People usually prefer to invite close friends, family, or those with whom they maintain genuine and balanced relationships for leisure moments, excluding co-workers or collaborators. This change in how we are treated can be unsettling and completely unfair, but that's how it works. You find yourself in a position where you offer help with an open heart, only to feel excluded in moments of leisure. This selective treatment can hurt, generating feelings of disappointment and betrayal. However, from the Stoic point of view, this dynamic is a test of discernment. It challenges you to recognize who truly values your friendship and appreciation, and who is just taking advantage of your generosity. To see who our real friends are, we must pay attention to the actions, not the words of those around us. It's important to remember that Stoicism does not encourage cynicism or distrust, but rather the cultivation of a deep understanding of human nature. By practicing discernment, we can choose to help those who truly need and will value our genuine support. In doing so, we preserve our energies and surround ourselves with people who value us for who we are, not just for what we can offer. Stoicism provides us with tools to thrive in life by working with the mind, and this challenge offers the opportunity to practice Stoic self-discipline. By setting clear boundaries and deciding how to invest our energy and time, maintaining our generosity balanced and directed toward those who truly value our help, we can live according to Stoic principles, finding peace and satisfaction in the complexities of human relationships. Setting your boundaries is a simple process, but without practice, it can leave you unsure of where to start taking action. Let's explore strategies to avoid being taken advantage of. First strategy, eliminate the fear of saying no. Ask yourself, what is the root of your fear of saying no? Often this behavior has its roots in childhood, where we are repeatedly taught that if we're not nice, nobody will like us, and we won't go to heaven. These concepts are internalized as unquestionable truths imbued with fear and stored in memory. However, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of introspection and continuous questioning in the pursuit of a meaningful life full of purpose. Today, we are adults with the power to make decisions about our lives. Understanding that fear was instilled in childhood, when you did not have the capacity to question the truth of threats, frees you from these possible conditioning. Studying Stoicism provides us with tools to understand our emotions and encourages us to stop and reflect on our responses to life, instead of allowing instinct and habit to control them. Saying no in situations where you feel overwhelmed or when the request is unfair is a way to exercise self-control. Second strategy, pay attention to your feelings. Stoicism teaches us to pay attention to our thought process, understand our emotions, and cultivate a healthy mind. This Stoic tool works on our self-reflection and self-awareness. When you pay attention to your feelings, it becomes possible to identify if you are dedicating yourself excessively and emotionally draining yourself, allowing adjustments to find a healthy balance. Reflecting on how you feel when helping others, considering both yourself and others' priorities, is crucial. Generosity should bring a sense of satisfaction, almost like walking on clouds. If, on the other hand, you find yourself overwhelmed, drained, irritated, or used, it's time to pay attention to your feelings. When something that is not an obligation causes so much discomfort, it is imperative not to deceive yourself and understand how the assistance you offer impacts your well-being. Third strategy, see yourself as a priority. Sometimes we become experts in the most bizarre and unusual subjects and neglect to take care of ourselves. Following the Stoic principles of self-discipline and self-respect, it is essential to reserve time and space for self-care. Stoicism is the study that takes care of our souls, and the more we practice it, the more we learn to take care of ourselves. So don't neglect yourself. Take care of your health, your body, your emotions. See yourself as a priority. This is something you should take seriously. Embrace yourself. Forgive yourself for mistakes, for shortcomings, and see the upcoming year as an opportunity for Stoic new beginnings. Choose an activity that is just for you, and in that time and space, be generous with yourself. Respect it. Set boundaries and do not feel guilty about saying no if someone wants to invade that time. You can always offer help, but always make it clear that your availability will be limited because you have a life to take care of. Fourth strategy, identify the takers. Following the Stoic principles of self-discipline and discernment, it is essential to recognize which relationships benefit you and which may emotionally drain you. By distancing yourself from people who constantly deplete your energy and do not contribute positively, you are taking care of your well-being and applying Stoic self-control in your relationships. Takers are individuals who always demand more, whether it's attention, you listening to their constant complaints, your time, or even money, such as lending a credit card and not honoring the payments. Even if you try to help, it's likely that you will end up drained and they may not escape the same situation. We cannot fall into the illusion that our good actions change someone. Each of us carries within the willpower for change, and no one can open that door except ourselves. Maintaining this type of relationship resembles a parasitic dynamic, with the taker draining the host until it's dry. Stoics believe that bonds of affection can extend to all of us, human beings, and it teaches us to have the psychological strength to modify them. We control our ability to choose kindness and generosity, just as we control our ability to discern and use temperance to balance our relationships. If we give too little, we seem selfish and stingy, while if we give too much, we end up completely drained of energy, time, and probably money too. Stoicism teaches us balance, moderation, thinking, and analyzing our actions. And I hope this message helps you not to give away all your resources and forget your fundamental goal, which is to have an extraordinary life. And if you've watched this far, comment gratitude. Also, let me know which city or country you are watching from. Thank you for watching.